Most people think talking makes progress real. It doesn't. The moment you announce your plans, you leak power. Opinions rush in, doubt creeps closer, your focus fractures. What was private discipline became public noise. Stoic philosophy teaches the opposite. Strength grows in silence. Results are built where no applause exists. Marcus Aurelius warned himself each morning to guard the mind from distraction, not to seek approval. Epictetus went further. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Silence is not secrecy. It is containment. When you tell people what you do, you invite interference you cannot control. Advice disguised as concern, envy masked as curiosity, pressure dressed as motivation. None of it helps you execute. Today is about reclaiming that edge. Learning when to stay quiet, why restraint sharpens action, and how disciplined silence protects momentum. Say less, do more. Let outcomes speak. This is not about hiding. It's about sovereignty over attention, effort, and direction. Keep your work private. Build without witnesses. Undeniable. 1. Words invite. Interference. Silence is not passive. It is an active decision to protect what is fragile while it is growing. Every plan begins weakly. It needs time, repetition, and failure away from the crowd. The moment you speak too early, you expose something unfinished to forces that do not care about its survival. Opinions arrive before strength does. Doubt arrives before proof. You feel productive because you talked, but nothing actually moved forward. Stoicism understands this danger deeply. That is why it teaches restraint before expression, discipline before display, and progress before permission. This silence is not fear, it is deliberate self-command. When you tell people what you are building, you invite them into your process, whether they deserve access or not. Most interruptions are subtle. A raised eyebrow, a careless joke, a well-meaning warning that seeds hesitation. These moments seem harmless, yet they fracture attention. You start explaining instead of executing, defending instead of refining. Stoic thinkers warned that what lies outside your control should never steer your actions. Other people's reactions are never yours to command, but your silence is. By withholding details, you keep authority over direction, pace, and psychological balance without negotiating your resolve with anyone watching closely. There is another hidden cost to speaking too soon. Talking creates the illusion of progress. Your brain rewards expression with relief, as if the work were already done. This is a trap. Momentum drains when words replace effort. Many people lose discipline not because they failed, but because they announced. Stoicism favors quiet accumulation. Action repeated daily compounds power. Words do not. When you stay silent, energy stays internal. It sharpens, it concentrates, it waits for the right moment to strike. Nothing leaks, nothing distracts. Everything builds beneath the surface. This is how durable strength is formed. Over time, consistently. Another reason silence matters is protection from explanation. The moment you speak, you invite judgment. You feel pressured to clarify motives, timelines, and outcomes. Slowly, you hand others the authority to approve or disapprove your path. Epictetus rejected this completely. He taught that a disciplined life does not need commentary. You are not on trial. Your work does not require validation. Silence keeps you sovereign. It removes you from imaginary courts and returns you to the only task that matters: execution. Nothing else deserves your attention during creation, especially not opinions from spectators with no investment in the outcome itself. Stoic silence is not isolation. It is selective engagement. You still listen, you still observe, but you choose carefully when speech serves action. This discipline builds an inner fortress. Inside it, Focus cannot be breached by gossip or doubt. Energy is conserved instead of scattered. Over time, this restraint becomes identity. People sense it without explanation. They feel your direction without updates. You no longer need to convince. You only need to continue. That quiet consistency compounds respect, strength, and inevitability, even before results are publicly visible, because discipline always leaves a trace in posture, timing, and decisions made daily. Silence prepares the final advantage. Surprise. When you stop narrating your life, you remove expectations. Others cannot interfere with what they do not see. Then one day, results appear without warning. This is the Stoic way. Let action introduce you. Let outcomes speak on your behalf. Say less while you build. Protect the work. Protect the mind. In a loud world, restraint is power, and those who master silence move freely, decisively, and beyond interference. No announcements, no explanations, just quiet, relentless forward motion. This is how real authority is earned, through discipline, patience, and unbroken focus over long horizons. 2. Most people don't want you to win. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because it clashes with how you want to see the world. You want to believe that people are neutral, supportive, or at least harmless. But Stoic philosophy was never built on comforting illusions. It was built on clear sight. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that he would meet people who were envious, bitter, selfish, and careless with words. Not because they were evil, but because they were human. When you understand this, silence stops feeling cold. It starts feeling wise. When you tell people what you are doing, you assume they want the best for you. Sometimes they do. Often they don't. Or worse, they think they do, while unconsciously rooting against you. Your progress becomes a mirror. It reflects their hesitation, their unfinished plans, their fear of risk. And instead of confronting that discomfort within themselves, they project it outward. They call it advice. They call it concern. They call it realism. But beneath the surface, it is resistance to your forward movement. Stoicism teaches you to separate intent from impact. A comment does not need to be malicious to be destructive. A casual, "Are you sure?" can weaken resolve. A skeptical laugh can plant doubt. A story about someone who failed can slow your step. None of these people need to hate you for harm to be done. Their uncertainty alone is enough. When you speak too freely, you hand them access to influence your internal state. Silence removes that access entirely. There is also a deeper layer that few people talk about. When you announce your goals, you shift social dynamics. People begin to compare. Quietly, constantly. Some will feel smaller around you, others will feel threatened. Some will begin watching, not to support, but to see if you stumble. Success makes people uncomfortable because it disrupts the stories they tell themselves about what is possible. Stoics understood this long before social media existed. That is why they valued inner approval above external applause. Epictetus warned that if you seek validation from others, you become dependent on what you cannot control. Other people's reactions belong to them, not to you. But once you speak, their reactions enter your mental space. You start adjusting, softening, delaying. You tell yourself you're being flexible, when in reality, you're being steered. Silence cuts this loop. It keeps your path straight. It allows you to move without carrying the emotional weight of other people's expectations or disappointments. Another uncomfortable truth is that many people benefit from your stagnation. Your consistency makes them look inconsistent. Your discipline highlights their excuses. So when you share your plans, you may notice subtle shifts. Support fades. Conversations change. Encouragement becomes conditional. This is not something to resent. Stoicism does not teach bitterness. It teaches understanding. People protect their self-image instinctively. Your silence helps them do that without turning you into a target. Choosing silence is not about distrusting everyone. It is about respecting reality. You do not need to announce growth for it to occur. You do not need witnesses to become stronger. By keeping your work private, you allow relationships to remain lighter, cleaner, and less charged. You remove competition where none is needed. You preserve peace while progress continues quietly underneath. In the Stoic mindset, winning is not loud. It is calm, it is steady, it is internal, long before it becomes visible. Most people do not need to know what you are building. They will see it when it stands on its own. Until then, your responsibility is simple. Protect your direction. Guard your energy. Move forward without narrating the journey. Silence is not withdrawal. It is strategic clarity in a world that reacts before it understands. 3. Talking steals. Your momentum, talking feels like motion, but it is often friction disguised as progress. When you describe your plans, the mind releases tension as if work has already occurred. That release steals urgency. Discipline weakens. Stoicism warns that relief earned without effort erodes the will to act and slows decisive daily execution. Verbalizing goals creates a dopamine loop that rewards expression, not execution. Each explanation replaces a repetition you should have completed. Each update becomes a substitute for sweat. Stoics prefer strain over speech. They knew momentum grows through quiet consistency, not through public narration of intent and disciplined action sustained daily. Announcing plans shifts identity before evidence exists. You start defending an image instead of building capability. This drains focus. Marcus Aurelius cautioned against seeking praise for beginnings. He trained himself to value the work itself. Momentum survives when identity lags behind action, not ahead of it by design, deliberately chosen. Speaking invites feedback cycles that interrupt flow. Questions arrive, opinions linger, your context switch. Flow breaks. Stoic discipline protects uninterrupted effort. Seneca praised concentration earned through solitude. Momentum compounds when attention remains unbroken, long enough to transform effort into skill and habit into strength through patient repetition, daily, sustained, deliberate. There is power in keeping friction internal. When doubts stay private, you process them without spectacle. Talking externalizes uncertainty and multiplies it. Stoics practiced inner dialogue, not public rehearsal. They tested ideas in silence, then acted decisively, conserving energy for execution rather than explanation, and relentless forward movement, quietly sustained. Momentum is fragile at the start. It needs protection, not exposure. Early noise kills late results. Stoic restraint delays speech until structure exists. You don't announce foundations while pouring concrete. You wait until the building stands. Then words become unnecessary because presence communicates everything without commentary, justification, or advanced signaling. Another cost of talking is timing pressure. Once spoken, deadlines feel imposed. You rush to match statements instead of readiness. Stoics move by readiness, not promises. They respect natural pacing. Momentum strengthens when actions follow capacity, allowing growth without the strain of public expectations or performative urgency, unnecessary stress imposed. Silence keeps effort honest. You measure progress by output, not applause. Without witnesses, excuses lose power. Stoic training favors private standards. When nobody is watching, discipline reveals itself. Momentum becomes intrinsic, driven by values rather than reactions, and therefore harder to derail over time across setbacks, seasons, cycles, pressure, uncertainty. Talking also invites comparison, which dilutes focus. You begin scanning others instead of sharpening yourself. Stoicism rejects comparison as distraction. Your only measure is today's effort versus yesterday's. Momentum accelerates when attention narrows to controllables, removing noise that steals speed from sustained practice and disciplined routines. Daily execution, compounding results. Quiet action preserves emotional fuel. Words consume it. Each conversation taxes resolve. Stoics conserve fuel for trials, not talk. Momentum requires reserves. When difficulty arrives, silence leaves you strong. You haven't spent strength explaining. You've saved it for doing the work when resistance rises, pressure peaks, stakes increase, sharply, suddenly. The Stoic approach is simple. Build first, speak last. Let effort harden before exposure. Momentum thrives in privacy because it avoids distortion. When you finally speak, it's brief, factual, and grounded in results. Until then, protect the process like a flame against wind, doubt, interference, impatience, fear, noise, intrusion, always. If you want momentum, stop narrating. Replace updates with repetitions. Replace explanations with execution. Stoicism rewards those who move quietly and persistently. Let silence guard your pace. Let action accumulate. When progress appears, it will feel inevitable, because it was built without distraction through patience, discipline, focus, time, effort, resolve. 4. Explanation is a hidden weakness. The urge to explain comes from a quiet fear, the fear of being misunderstood. You want people to see your intentions clearly, to know you are not careless, not arrogant, not wrong. But Stoic philosophy warns that this urge, when indulged too often, becomes a weakness disguised as politeness. Every explanation hands over authority. It places your inner direction on trial before an audience that was never meant to judge it. Strength does not ask for permission. It acts in alignment and moves forward without negotiating its meaning. When you explain yourself, you implicitly accept that others have the right to approve or reject your choices. That assumption is rarely questioned, yet it shapes behavior deeply. You soften decisions. You over-justify boundaries. You feel pressure to be reasonable instead of being correct for yourself. Epictetus was clear on this point. He taught that a person who lives according to principle does not need to defend those principles verbally. A disciplined life explains itself through consistency, not through speeches. Explanation also creates dependency. Once you begin clarifying, people expect access to your reasoning. Silence suddenly feels suspicious. You train others to believe they are entitled to your inner process. This erodes independence. Stoicism is built on self-governance. Your thoughts, values, and decisions belong to you. The moment you feel obligated to explain, you surrender a piece of that sovereignty. Over time, this habit weakens resolve because every choice must now survive external interpretation before it is allowed to stand. There is another danger hidden inside explanation: emotional exposure. Explaining requires vulnerability without protection. You reveal motives, doubts, and hopes to people who may not handle them with care. Some will misunderstand. Some will twist your words. Others will store them for future leverage. Stoic restraint is not emotional suppression. It is emotional selectivity. You choose when disclosure serves virtue and when it serves nothing but noise. Silence becomes a filter that protects what is still forming. Modern life encourages constant justification. Social media rewards transparency. Work culture demands updates. Relationships blur boundaries. Yet Stoicism offers a counterweight. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it was enough to do what was right, not to be seen doing it or to be praised for it. Explanation is often an attempt to manage perception. Stoics manage character instead. They know perception is unstable, but character endures. You cannot control how people interpret your words, but you can control whether you speak them at all. When you stop explaining, something uncomfortable happens at first. People may push back. They may label you distant, arrogant, or secretive. This discomfort is temporary. What follows is clarity. The people who respect you adjust. The ones who needed access to control you fell away. Silence reorganizes relationships naturally. It draws clean lines without confrontation. Stoicism favors this quiet sorting over endless dialogue that leads nowhere. Explanation also wastes energy. Each justification consumes attention that could be spent refining skill, deepening focus, or resting the mind. Stoics valued energy as a finite resource. They conserved it for challenges that mattered. Arguing your choices, defending your pace, or explaining your vision rarely changes outcomes. It only delays action. Silence shortens the distance between decision and execution. The strongest position is calm certainty without narration. You do not need to announce why you are leaving, changing, building, or refusing. You simply do it. Over time, this becomes unmistakable. People stop questioning because there is nothing to question. Your actions are coherent. Your boundaries are stable. Your life becomes quieter, but also heavier with meaning. Stoic silence is not avoidance. It is maturity. It says, I know what I am doing, and I do not need witnesses to proceed. When explanation disappears, alignment remains. And alignment, practiced consistently, is more convincing than any argument you could ever make. 5. Silence builds an inner fortress. Silence does something subtle but powerful. It creates space inside you. Space where reactions slow down, where impulses lose their grip, where clarity has room to appear. Stoic philosophy treats this space as sacred. It is the ground where self-command is trained. When you stop speaking unnecessarily, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. Not the noise of anxiety or ego, but the quiet signal of intention. This is how an inner fortress is built. Not with walls of isolation, but with discipline over what enters and what leaves your mind. Every word you speak is an opening. It invites response, judgment, and energy exchange. Sometimes that exchange is useful. Often it is draining. Silence closes unnecessary doors. It allows you to choose engagement instead of being pulled into it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you always have the option of retreating into yourself, not to escape life, but to recover order. Silence is that retreat. It restores internal hierarchy, where reason leads and emotion follows, instead of the other way around. An inner fortress is not about control over others. It is about control over reaction. When you speak less, you react less. You stop filling gaps with explanations. You stop defending against imagined attacks. You stop performing for approval. This restraint builds emotional muscle. You become harder to provoke, harder to derail. Stoics valued this above almost everything else. Not popular, not recognition, but unshakable composure. Silence is one of its most effective training tools. There is also strength in not being immediately readable. When you narrate everything, people learn how to push your buttons. They see what excites you, what scares you, what motivates you. Silence removes that leverage. It does not make you deceptive. It makes you centered. Others cannot manipulate what they cannot map. Stoic thinkers understood that power is not domination, but independence. Silence strengthens independence by keeping your internal landscape private and protected. As silence deepens, your decisions become cleaner. You no longer feel the need to consult the crowd for reassurance. You weigh choices internally against values, not reactions. This builds confidence that does not spike or crash based on feedback. It stays steady. The Stoics called this inner stability freedom. You are free not because nothing affects you, but because fewer things control you. Silence is the gatekeeper of that freedom. There is a moment many people experience when they begin practicing silence. A moment of discomfort. You feel invisible. You feel unacknowledged. Your ego protests. This is where the fortress begins to rise. Stoicism does not reject the ego with force, it starves it gently. By withholding constant expression, you stop feeding the need to be seen. Over time, something stronger replaces it. Self-respect. You no longer need to announce your presence. You feel it internally. Silence also improves judgment. When you are not busy talking, you observe more. Patterns become visible. People reveal themselves through action, tone, and consistency. Stoics trusted observation over conversation. They knew words can lie, but patterns rarely do. Silence sharpens perception. It turns the mind outward without leaking power inward. You become both calmer and more aware. This combination is rare, and it is formidable. An inner fortress is not built in a day. It forms gradually through small acts of restraint. Choosing not to reply immediately. Choosing not to explain. Choosing not to share what is still fragile. Each choice adds a brick. Over time, you notice that chaos passes you by more easily. Criticism lands softer. Praise feels lighter. You're no longer pushed and pulled by every external stimulus. You stand centered. This is why Stoics valued silence so highly, not as an aesthetic, not as a tactic to appear mysterious, but as a practical method to reclaim authority over the mind. When silence becomes habitual, peace becomes durable, focus becomes natural, strength becomes quiet. And that quiet strength is the foundation of a life that cannot be easily shaken. 6. Let them be surprised. There is a quiet power in not announcing yourself, in letting your absence do the work that words usually try to do. When you stop explaining, stop updating, stop signaling your next move, something shifts. The world relaxes around you. Expectations fade, interference disappears. This is not because people suddenly trust you more, but because they no longer feel entitled to your direction. Stoic philosophy understands this deeply. Surprise is not manipulation. It is the natural result of restraint practiced long enough for results to mature in silence. When you constantly speak about your plans, you create a timeline that others begin to monitor. They measure you against what you said, not against what you are becoming. Every delay becomes visible. Every adjustment looks like failure. Silence removes this pressure. It gives growth the privacy it needs. Marcus Aurelius did not broadcast his intentions to rule well. He focused on governing his mind, moment by moment. The result was not spectacle, but substance. Surprise follows substance when no one is watching the process. Letting people be surprised also restores balance in relationships. When you narrate your life, you invite commentary. Advice appears where none was requested. Opinions become background noise. Silence ends that conversation without confrontation. You stop managing reactions. Others stop projecting expectations. Interactions become simpler, lighter. You show up as you are, not as a promise you once made. This is a Stoic form of respect. You respect others enough not to burden them with your unfinished intentions, and you respect yourself enough not to seek validation for work still in progress. Surprise has another benefit. It sharpens impact. When results arrive without warning, they land cleanly. There is no fatigue from overexposure, no sense of finally, just presence. People notice because they were not invited to watch the struggle. Stoics valued this clarity. They knew that quiet effort produces stronger reactions than loud ambition. The mind registers contrast. Silence creates contrast. And contrast creates authority without a single word being spoken. There is also freedom in being underestimated. When people think you are inactive, they stop watching closely. They assume stagnation where there is preparation. This is not about deception, it is about refusing to perform for an audience. Stoic discipline is internal. It does not depend on being seen. When others underestimate you, pressure lifts. You are free to experiment, to fail privately, to adjust course without commentary. This freedom accelerates growth. Many people fear being forgotten. They speak to remain visible. Stoicism teaches a different hierarchy. It places character above recognition. If your work has value, it will surface in time. If it does not, visibility will not save it. Silence forces this honesty. You build because it matters, not because it is being watched. When results appear, they stand on their own. Surprise is simply the moment reality becomes undeniable. Letting people be surprised also protects your emotional equilibrium. Praise and criticism arrive together when you announce your moves. Silence delays both. It keeps you grounded in process rather than outcome. You are less reactive, less inflated by approval, less wounded by skepticism. This steadiness is rare. Stoics cultivated it deliberately. They understood that emotional independence was the foundation of effective action. Surprise is a byproduct of that independence. There is a stoic dignity in letting work speak last. You do not rush to be understood. You do not chase acknowledgement. You allow time to reveal alignment. When the moment arrives, it is not dramatic. It is inevitable. People do not ask how you did it. They simply notice that you did. That is the power of restraint compounded over time. In a world addicted to updates, silence feels radical, but it is also liberating. Let others talk. Let them speculate. Let them underestimate. You stay focused. You stay quiet. And when the results arrive, they arrive fully formed, without apology or explanation. That is the Stoic way. Let them be surprised. 7. The Stoic rule of silence. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not a refusal to speak. It is a rule of discernment. The Stoics never encouraged becoming distant, passive, or withdrawn from life. What they taught was precision. Speech, like action, must have purpose. When words are unnecessary, they become a liability. When they are excessive, they dilute authority. The Stoic rule of silence exists to protect clarity, energy, and inner order in a world that constantly pressures you to react. Most people speak to relieve internal tension. They explain how to feel safe. They share to feel seen. They talk because silence feels uncomfortable. Stoicism challenges this impulse directly. It asks you to tolerate that discomfort and examine it. Why do you feel the need to speak right now? Is it to serve truth or to soothe anxiety? Is it to move something forward or to manage how you are perceived? Silence exposes these motives. It strips speech of its emotional crutches and leaves only what is essential. The Stoic rule is simple. Speak only when your words serve virtue, necessity, or action. If they do not, restraint is the wiser choice. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it was enough to do what was right. Being understood was secondary. Epictetus echoed this idea, teaching that philosophy is not something to be talked about endlessly, but something to be lived. When your life aligns with your values, explanation becomes optional. Consistency replaces persuasion. Silence also sharpens timing. Stoics understood the danger of impulsive speech. Words spoken too early often come from emotion, not reason. Silence creates a pause between stimulus and response. In that pause, you regain control. You see the situation more clearly. You choose rather than react. Over time, this pause becomes a habit. You stop filling every gap. You stop defending every choice. You allow reason to lead and emotion to follow. This rule applies inward as well as outward. Constant internal commentary weakens focus. Stoics trained themselves to observe thoughts without narrating them endlessly. They acted without rehearsing every possibility aloud or internally. Silence inside the mind creates cohesion. Thought, intention, and action align. This alignment reduces friction and preserves energy for real challenges instead of imagined ones. There are moments when speaking is necessary. Stoicism does not silence courage. It silences noise. When injustice appears, when boundaries are crossed, when guidance is genuinely needed, speech becomes a duty. But because silence is the default, these moments stand out. Few words, delivered calmly, carry more weight than endless explanation. People listen not because you are loud, but because you are deliberate. As you practice the Stoic rule of silence, your presence changes. You speak less, but your words land deeper. You no longer compete for attention. You command it naturally through coherence between what you say and what you do. This is not performance, it is credibility built through restraint over time. Ultimately, the Stoic rule of silence is about freedom. Freedom from impulsive speech. Freedom from the need to justify yourself. Freedom from emotional leakage. When silence becomes disciplined, life becomes simpler. Decisions clarify. Energy consolidates. You move with intention instead of explanation. And in that quiet control, you reclaim authority over your mind, your direction, and your life. Silence, as Stoic philosophy teaches, is not withdrawal from life. It is mastery within it. Throughout this video, you've seen how speaking too soon invites interference, how unnecessary explanation weakens authority, and how constant narration drains momentum. The Stoics understood something modern culture often forgets. Not everything valuable needs to be shared. Some things need protection, some things need time, and some things grow strongest when no one is watching. The practice is simple, but not easy. Say less about what you plan to do. Do more of what matters quietly. Notice how much energy returns when you stop explaining yourself. Observe how focus sharpens when you stop inviting opinions. This is not about becoming distant or cold. It is about becoming grounded, calm, self-directed. Let your actions carry the weight your words no longer need to carry. For the next week, try this Stoic experiment. Before you speak, pause. Ask whether your words serve action, virtue, or clarity. If they don't, let silence do the work. You may be surprised by how much strength lives there. Thank you for spending this time with us and for choosing depth over noise. If this reflection helped you, consider supporting the channel and sharing it with someone who needs it. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, and remember, the quiet mind is the strongest mind.